Davies in the middle. Checks back against Carter and scores. That is atypical for the Myanmar goal.
Quickly gets it back again. Oh, what a goal! Well, that sums up her season. The Gunners are WSL champions.
Welcome back, everybody. This is a Vic Akers Wonderland, and we are spinning around because we have been back from Crawley. Arsenal 3, Brighton 0. And with me, as always, is Adam. How are you?
Very well, thank you very much, Matt. It was a good weekend for the Arsenal, so good result against what's, well, based on previous results, a tricky place. Certain other clubs have come unstuck there, but not us. So looking forward to digging that apart. And
always we'll start with the news. So those that may have seen this, Katie McCabe has won another award. That shelf is looking very, very full at the moment for her. PFA Player of the Month, and really deserved, don't you think?
Yeah, she has had a brilliant start to the season. Got a winning start. Winning run, should I say, rather, not winning start, sadly, but winning run with the first goal against Villa, which was a superb post effort, and then two more bangers against Bristol. As we know, she only scores bangers. She's been terrific, absolutely terrific. And whilst we've been sort of struggling a bit for form, trying to get together, McCabe's like, sod this, I'm just going to win it myself until you lot are all ready. Feels like we're all starting to, everyone else is now starting to get up to speed, and so we owe McCabe for steadying the ship while everyone's sort of getting their ducks in a row and getting themselves sorted. So no, fair play to McCabe. Big congratulations. Another individual trophy. Here's to a few more for our Irish superstar.
I always do see Katie as, I do describe it as the Gerrard factor, just grabbing games by the scruff of the neck and winning these games. You look at Man City.
Sod this all. Look, guys, you're all being something. I'll do it. You know, I'll stick my hand up and I'm going to whack this in for 25 yards and win the game, and then done. You know.
Yeah, it's a fantastic trait that she has, and it's been great that she's been able to bring it into this season when desperately needs something. She's been able to get us across that line by tooth and nail at times. And there's a little bit of, not really news, but a lovely little video came through on the Australian channel Optus. Wynn decided that our lovely little chocolate Labrador running around London Colney decided to come see Steph and Caitlin do an interview. Lovely little break for the players. I think they weren't expecting that to happen, but it was a nice surprise, and I think everyone enjoyed it.
There's nothing we love more than an unexpected win, and that was almost certainly one. We all love win. We should say there's now another dog within the Arsenal family. I believe it's Mile Miedemar. So of course that's now getting all the attention. So keep an eye out for some of the photos on social media. Very, very cute. But yes, always great to see Win. There's been quite a bit of Australian media. I think they were doing. I think it was Cara Cooney Cross and Ford. They were doing an interview. They were talking about some of the chants, and they're loving them. They're absolutely loving them. So fair play to the Arsenal fans. Keep them coming. The players. I mean, Ford was saying how she hears it in her head as she's running down the wing, hearing the Vegemite song. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but based on the finish she gave us at Brighton, I'm assuming a good thing. We even made the Australian news. I don't know if you saw this clip, Matt.
Yes, I did. It's fantastic, isn't it? Go on.
They were trying. The news reporters obviously can't sing the Cara Cooney Cross song for obvious reasons, but it was great to see them acknowledging our love for our new Australian in the heart of the midfield. I'm very much looking forward to talking about her in our review, because she was splendid. on Brighton. Again, another superb performance. I'm looking forward to picking that apart as well.
Bit off topic, but on the Australian set there, looks likely that 2 other Australians might be joining the WSL. Their contracts will expire at the end of the year, and that is Charlie Grant and is it Michelle Glory?
These are news to me, Matt.
I can't remember her first name, but the last name's Glory. Her contract also expired. There is links there with the WSL. Don't know whether or not it's going to be Arsenal that are interested, but I'm sure that we might be seeing more Australians in WSL come January.
It's definitely starting to grow. It's definitely growing. Obviously, we've got 3. We had another one. Lydia Williams at one point. Chelsea have got Sam Kerr. Man City have got Milana Kennedy. So there's a lot of Australian export. But based on their World Cup performance, they hosted a terrific World Cup, getting to the semi-finals, shown their talent. They can play at this level. Mary Fowler, another one. Mary Fowler, Man City, another one. Shouldn't forget her. So much talent there, and we'll be lucky and honoured to have them in the WSL. So here's hoping.
So you have alerted us as well to the current not issues. Let's say the TV rights is a very intriguing topic, as well as there's been a little bit of breaking news on that. Would you like to just talk about that? Because
it's been it's only breaking news. We don't know the full details, but there's a company called UCO who'll have an eye on the I think what it is, the FA currently run the WSL and the Championship. At the end of the season, they're looking to step away, and they want another entity to manage the running on it. And there's all sorts of discussions in terms of commercial rights and voting rights that the different clubs will have in the Championship and the WSL. And it sounds like at the moment there is sadly a disagreement, and they're trying to come to a resolution. It's a bit unclear if it's to do with how the commercial is going to be split. There's talk about sort of a 25-75 split. You can probably imagine how that split is probably leaning towards, whether it's to do with the strength of the vote, whether there'll be preferential votes more towards WSL clubs. So it's an ongoing tussle that the Telegraph sort of dropped an update report on, and this is something that needs resolving soon, because the FA, they've been custodians of these leagues since the sort of inception back in 2011. They're looking to back away and have it being run independent from them, and sort of like a sort of Premier League company. I think they'd like the Premier League probably to run it, given the roaring success Premier League has had on the men's side. Doesn't sound like that's happening. So it's all a bit smoke and mirrors at the moment. But sadly, resolution is not happening anytime soon. There's still much more discussions to be had. But as we said, this is a growing sport. We want to get this right, because I think people are starting to smell the financial potential in this sport and in this league. So hopefully they can come to an agreement. I think one of them said that it's not going to be something that's going to please all the clubs. It just needs to be something that will appease enough of them in both the Championship and the WSL. There was a suggestion that maybe that the WSL would sort of would separate. They'll run one entity, and I'm guessing either the FA or another entity will have to manage the Championship, and you'd have sort of 2 separate factions, which I don't know, doesn't sound too right to me. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it pans out.
It's just one of the other things that are currently up for grabs. The FA are trying to find a definite backer. The Premier League have rejected the opportunity for, I believe it was 20 million that they valued the WSL. They've said no, which is a bit of a shame, really. But then again, with everything that's going on, with how that's being talked about a lot, especially when it comes to some of the decision making. I know that's PGMLO. I'm making alphabet numbers, letters up now as I go along. The referee union, shall I say, that rather than the referees, that's who the Premier League are mainly in. Let's say the fans and the clubs are in dispute with every week because of the atrocities that come in the video assistant review
Yeah,
room.
we don't have to worry about that with women's
Yeah,
football,
we don't have to worry
thankfully.
about that. Our referees are semi-professional at this level, and we're looking for professional referees at this moment. Do the right thing. But on that as well is that the contract for the TV rights is coming to a
Yeah.
close. The uh the talks are going to be held in January. We know Sky and BBC will be among them, but there's been a bit of breaking news on a new potential frontrunner, and that is what was BT. It is now TNT, and perhaps a little bit of speculation here, not a not a rumor or anything. ITV might be in the mix as well.
Well, yeah, I think we take the latter comment. It was there was a discussion happening about women's football, and this leads slightly into the TNT bit as well. There's an idea that could women's football be broadcast in a 3 p.m. blackout? It's the obvious slot. Obviously, the 3 p.m. blackout is there for a reason. We may not like that reason, but it is there for a reason. Whether there can be a justification for the women's game to fill that void that wouldn't disrupt the reasoning for that remains to be seen. It was a notion that was put forward by the ITV director of sport. I'm not aware what that context was. It could have just been a chat in an interview. It's just something that's come up in the recent news on the BBC website. There's nothing to say that ITV are looking into it, but it's a comment on a situation that is growing at the moment, because as we all know, we've been to Meadow Park. I mean, I have at 6:45 in the evening. It's not ideal, especially for some of us who've got to get up early for work on the Monday. Getting back after a 6:45 kickoff is not nice. You can imagine, especially how injury time goes nowadays. We've got extra 10 minutes on the end. So you're looking at a 10-11 return home, and then it's cold. We have cold nights at Meadow Park, and then there are Arctic nights, especially in those long winter nights. There needs to be room for women's football in the calendar and in the weekend calendar, and it's trying to find the slot. So we've had 11:30 games in the morning on a Saturday, which is nice to wake up to. Probably not too nice to get up and drive to, especially if it's a long away game, far away game. So these are the discussions that are happening, and this is one of the comments that come out. As for TNT Sports, as those of you who remember, they were what was once BT Sport. Obviously, BT pulled out of those rights. The results, the rights have gone on to this TNT group. I don't really know who runs them, but I think it's tied in with Paramount, because they keep saying you've got to download the Paramount app, or whether it's the Discovery app, or whatever it's called. I think it's Discovery Plus, in order to watch some of the games on the phones. So yeah, okay, fair enough. There's talk of them maybe having an interest in buying into the WSL. Now, obviously, BT used to have the WSL rights. Early doors, they used to be the big live game. BT would run it, and then the rest of them, you'd be lucky if you could catch one. Some would be on the red button, the BBC, and that ran until about, I think it was 2021. I think they ran to in the end, and that was sort of at the end of a lockdown season. They sort of went in, and I like the BT coverage, and I thought the commentators had for it, the likes of Adam Summerton and Lucy Ward, thought they did a splendid job covering the games. But at the moment, it's Sky and BBC sort of duality at the moment, and the BBC have stepped up. They've moved their coverage to the main channels. Sky have sort of shown this is what you can do with women's football. They called it giving the Premier League treatment. They've raised the bar so much. Now, TNT obviously want to get back into it. Now, what will that look like? Is that going to be a third company in the mix, like how we have Amazon in the Premier League? So it's never, or is it going to replace one of the two? We don't know yet. But it was, I think, about 10 days ago, it was revealed. I think it was in the Mail that they were exploring an interest. But I think that's a positive. I think it's a real positive that we're not having to go to companies and ask them to say, can you please show us our women's football games? We're not having to basically give them away for free in order to broadcast it. Companies want to elbow in and say, no, I want this. The companies want the product, not the product leading the companies. The cycle has been reversed. It's fantastic. So this is good news for women's football that other companies are looking to elbow the way in and want a slice of this pie, and that'd be very interesting to see, or as Matt would say, very intriguing to see how this is going to look in the new year. January, I believe you said, is when the rights come up. They expire at the end of the year, end of the season. So I can't wait to see how it pans out. Hopefully, this competition will lead to companies paying more for the rights, which is great. More money into the system, more money to women's football, more money through the pyramid, more funding, especially for the clubs further down the period that absolutely need it. So all good news at the moment. That can't wait to see what the result of the auction is.
Yeah, it's a very interesting time at the moment, and also a bit nervy as well, because you don't know where you're going to be. And when it comes to these leagues, if TNT get themselves involved, I think it probably paves the way to show the FA Cup a little bit more, and maybe perhaps even the Conti Cup a little bit more on other channels.
That's a very good point. As we know at the moment, BBC and ITV run the men's FA Cup coverage. BT, I think, used to show a bit of the FA Cup, but BBC mainly, for the women's side rather. But BT used to also show the men's FA Cup. I think there's a question you could start maybe selling packages of the FA Cup. To say, well, you're the official broadcaster or partnered broadcaster of the Women's FA Cup. I think there's a market for that. Equally, Conti Cup, one of the most undercoveraged parts of women's football. Now you just get a bit of a joke, but so does the League Cup. There's a case for someone to think, you know what, like DAZN with the Champions League. Yeah. We're going to be the one. We're going to take the Conti Cup. We're going to broadcast it. We can stream it. However it is going to be. There are huge marketing opportunities. There are rights there, untapped rights that they could take and they could broadcast and would take the women's game even more. It's there if they want them. So let's see how it all pans out.
I would be interested to maybe see if, say, TNT don't get that what they want. Maybe they might go for the Conti Cup and the FA Cup and just say, look, we'll do that. And then when the next one comes in, we do want some sort of slice of the games.
I'd be intrigued if when the Champions League rights come up. Obviously, they're on the men's Champions League. Like Sky said, we'll give the WSL the Premier League treatment. I wonder if BT Sport or TNT Sports. I know, different name, same game, whatever. I wonder if TNT Sports will give the Women's Champions League their Champions League sort of treatment to it, because they did used to broadcast the later round of the Champions League. I wouldn't be surprised if when those rights come round, somebody other, a bigger company than DAZN, who've done great with the Champions League so far, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they thought, you know what, this is something we could tap into here, providing, of course, all the big teams get through the qualifiers.
It will be a very much wait and see at this moment in time, but it's exciting to see that there's lots of ways that we're thinking about that perhaps these broadcasters have already thought about. Just to go on the weekend's action then. So Leicester drew with Tottenham 1-1. Cayman scoring for Leicester and Bizet scoring for Tottenham. Everton had the opportunity to get 3 points on the board. Piemonte put them in front. Amy Rogers equalised and Megan Finnegan once again scoring before Thesdrop equalising for Bristol. Chelsea beating Liverpool 5-1. And Adam, you've managed to find the attendance, which was about 12,000, you said?
I believe it was something around that mark. That's the number that got quoted. I mean, I should temper my words carefully. I have been stung already on social media. I do not wish to cause another storm. But when we think of the games we've had at the Emirates, there was a notable different level of attendance, shall we say, at the Chelsea game. But I would say with Chelsea, I'm glad that they are putting more games at Stamford Bridge. And as we saw as Arsenal fans watching the Emirates, when we started using the Emirates Stadium more, it takes time. It takes time for the crowds to grow. It takes time to build up that atmosphere. And one of the reasons I'm quite passionate about this is because I want to see sell-out huge crowds like the Wolfsburg game. But I want that with WSL. And it's not a attempt at point score. I want every club, like with Chelsea, Liverpool, Everton, Arsenal, Spurs, to be playing in the main stadiums with a huge crowd backing them like they would with the men's team. That's what I want to see. And I find my frustration is when I feel that there are clubs who I know could push that boat out, or should have been pushing that boat out earlier, and have held that opportunity back. And I felt with Chelsea, I think they've won the league 4 seasons in a row. They have been the most successful women's team in this country for the last, I'd say, 6, maybe 7 years. They've been brilliant, winning trophies like anything. They've built up this catalogue of success, and I feel that which will pull in fans, which is fair enough. And I feel that they could use their brand to push the envelope more, like Arsenal have done. And what we've done with the fans, with the Red and White Supporters Club, to try and build the away support, build the singing sections of North Bank. It doesn't happen overnight. It's taken time. We are we're not there yet, but we're starting to see the fruits of labour. Last season, Everton played the derby at Goodison Park. So, great event. Liverpool have played last season.
Yeah, they both did.
Derby
Both done it at Anfield.
It's happening more and more. Obviously, we haven't mentioned the manager derby at Old Trafford, another massive occasion. So my frustration is that, and I got mocked for it, and fair enough. I'm going to get mocked. Maybe prioritising audience results over trophies, fair enough. But my underlying feeling is I feel that Chelsea could have moved to Stamford Bridge earlier, made the move to Stamford Bridge earlier. I feel they've held back on that maybe a bit too long. But I'm glad they're doing it now. And I really hope that with Arsenal got a game then, I think later in the new year.
Yeah.
I really hope they get some really good crowd in and get some from both fans, Arsenal and Chelsea. And they get a really good atmosphere at Stamford Bridge for what is going to be a massive game. And I hope that eventually, like we will eventually move to the Emirates, Chelsea will eventually move from Kings Meadow to Stamford Bridge, and they have whatever it is, whatever their capacity is, 40,000, 50,000, packed the rafters supporting a really good, really successful, football team. That's what I want to see. And I don't think that's doing reasonable. And this is a stepping stone towards that. It's 12,000 today. There'll be 20,000 maybe next season, 30 the season after that, and it will get to that level.
When we do look at these as well, you look at the teams that potentially could be going up as well. So when Bristol got promoted, they moved away from the Academy Stadium and they moved straight into Ashton Gate.
Yep.
One of the first things that they did, same as Leicester.
Yep.
You're seeing Villa Park being used quite a lot more now as well with Villa, and it's bringing the excitement back, and it feels very much like this is now a professional game. It's not like it was a couple of years ago where you see a man and his dog walking round in the local park next door or something like that anymore.
There were some pictures of our game against Hoffenheim in the Champions League, and that's not that long ago. That was 21, the North Bank. I got 30, 40 people in the North Bank, and you compare it to the Bristol City Conti Cup game. No offence to Bristol City, we love Bristol City. The Conti Cup game against Bristol City is a lesser game than the Champions League game against Hoffenheim. The North Bank is packed, and that's in 2 years. It can be done, and I'm glad that clubs are looking. I'm not looking. I mean, I was always a bit cynical when Birmingham said, "Oh, we're going to play all our games at St Andrews." Kind of felt like they were trying to showcase a bit of sort of interest in women's football at the time when their club was pretty much in free fall. But when clubs are doing it properly, I'm all for it. And yes, you will struggle a bit with the attendances and the atmosphere. There have been, I would say, a few swimming pool stadium atmospheres. You will get that for the first time. You have to persevere. And if the fans want it, more fans will come. I look at our away support as well. It takes time. But our away support now, I think we're going to go into some of the statistics, but every away game we've been to has led to record attendances. I mean, it is snowballing. It's snowballing, and it's just creating more interest. And again, it's about perseverance, patience. It's not going to happen overnight, but it is really good. And moving to these bigger stadiums is a massive, massive plus.
We'll just quickly move on to the other game that was a record crowd for the women's side at Manchester United.
Yes.
holding to Old Trafford for a Manchester derby, although you've been calling United a bit of cowards recently because you're not playing them. We're not playing them at
Well,
Old
I was a bit
Trafford.
annoyed. I was a bit annoyed that we didn't play the game. I think, and that is a sentiment shared by a lot.
It
Okay, we should make
is.
it clear because I would have loved to have seen Arsenal, Man United at Old Trafford because we strip away the fact that women's football just as a contest at Old Trafford. It's like it brings you back to the days of Van Nistelrooy and Scholes, Vieira, and all that era of football. You know, it's a name. It's a contest. Even back in like the early '90s, you said those huge. I'm not legitimising them or justifying them, but it's notoriously a match of edge. And I felt that there was a massive opportunity missed for Arsenal to play that game at Old Trafford against Man United. The crowd you would have got for that. When you look at the crowd we got for the Man City game, it would have been brilliant. And they didn't do that, obviously. Now, as for the game, it was literally a game of two halves. I mean, it was just fascinating to watch. I have my own personal opinions on the quality and merits of Mark Skinner and Gareth Taylor. I'm not going to share them here. This is an Arsenal pod. Call me a coward. But it was fascinating to watch because obviously Man City were coming into this game on the back of two defeats. Man United rather. So Man City two defeats. Man United have done pretty well this season, unbeaten. Obviously drew against us. They've got plenty. I think it was 3 draws. I think they had, and the rest are wins. I think that's what the form was. But they were looking pretty good, and I think they won their. Was it 5-0? Was it, or they beat? Was it in the previous game? I think it was. They
5-0 against Bristol. I think,
Bristol,
yes.
West Ham. Or there was a previous game, and
like
Millie Turner got a really good goal. It might have been 3-0 or 4-0. Garcia got one later on, but they've been really good, early form. And this was a really exciting to see how it's going to line up. And what I saw from pretty much from the off is that Man City dominated them on the pitch. Their high press was good. And the only problem was with Man City is Man City struggled to score, and that seems to be the problem from the off. Man United go basically, we're going to counter them, get a penalty, right decision, score the penalty. Game flips on the goal that was disallowed.
Was it out of play for you?
Yes. Well, I would say the referee was, diplomatically, the referee was well within their right. The official, line, what do they call it, second official, the lines as the official, was well within the right to disallow the goal for believing the ball had gone out of play. I think there is enough evidence to say, I can agree with that. The issue is that the ball, when it went out of play off a Man City defender. So if you're saying that's the case, you're saying the ball out of play should be a corner. And Man United didn't get that corner. Instead, it was given as a goal kick. The bigger problem is actually the issue would have been relevant if I believe it was Geezer was the player down the wing. Should have crossed it earlier for Nikita Paris. She crossed it earlier. It's tapping for Paris. It's 2-0 Man United. And that would have been fantastic for Man United. So that was the other mistake in the process. And of course, what happened is a few minutes later, Man City get 2 goals. Not great defending from Man United. Rord and Hemp, great finish from Hemp. It's a mistake from Zellum. Somebody has to shout that there's a player sneaking up behind her, half asleep, ball taken. You do not get the ball taken off you from the D, and not 12 seconds after you've just conceded. And after that, Man United were done. They were just done. And then obviously the third goal in the second half, Bunny Shaw, it's another mistake. It's Earps. He's undersold a back pass and just tries to go for power rather than maybe think about try Cruyff, maybe play it wider. Shaw runs in. It's a rugby charge down effectively. It's 3-1. And you know what? After that, the game was awful. It was so... There was an XG chart that came out and both teams flatlined for about 20 minutes. And it was... I thought it was absolutely outrageous, what the game itself, because we'll start with... We'll say... We're going to go into Arsenal eventually, but I do want to get this out. The atmosphere, it was... The only time you heard the crowd was when Man United progressed the ball into the Man City half. And it was like, great, you could hear them. They were up for it. It was just fantastic. The moment Man City had the ball in the Man United half, nothing. Absolute silence. There was no cheering. There was no supporting. There's no encouragement. It was the only time you heard cheering was when Man United were attacking the Man City half. And of course, you got a bit of a roar when you had the penalty, which Zellum scored. Well done. Brilliant. And then when the goal obviously happened, but it was disallowed, and then it was just silence. It was so weird to watch, because a game like that, you think, it's as Roy Keane would say, it's a derby. You cheer for the whole game, and there was a decent crowd in there, and I was hearing the build up to it when they did team formations, playing the fanfare, the players walking out. It sounded great, and then the moment the game kicked off, it just went and just went silent. It was really, really strange to watch. And then the second half, like I said, nothing happened. Nothing happened about 20 minutes until I think it was Alexandri got sent off for a ridiculous second yellow. And you thought, oh, maybe Man United come. No, Man United didn't come back into the game. It was like nothing happened. I think there was one shot. I think Garcia had one shot from range, and it was rubbish. It was a real shame, because the first half was really good. I really enjoyed the first half. And then the second half was a major disappointment. And then the crowd went into it, and it just sort of faded away. Big 3 points to Gareth Taylor and Man City. There, you can argue being back on track was Man United. It's not a good day at the office. First defeat of the season. We'll see what happens to them.
It's waiting to see, isn't it? But there is one stat I will bring up, that from that first half, Mary Earps had the most amount of touches of any Man United player in that first half. Now that kind of says a lot. And this is the fourth time that they played at Old Trafford. You've got players there that will know the layout, they know what they're expected to. But it's just a bit odd. Why you said this is essentially a home game, not an away game. Your goalkeeper should not be having the most amount of touches. And I'm just before you add on to that, Katie Zellum's now scored 4 in a row at Old Trafford.
Oh, clearly, I mean, that wasn't from a penalty, but they played there. I think it was 3 of them, like likes of West Ham and Everton. I think they've played there, and they've won them, and won by a decent score. They've done well with those games. It didn't feel like a home game though. It was how defensive they were. It was really surprising, and I'm not surprised that Mary Earps, in the first half, she was actually really good. I know she obviously conceded the goals, but she made some really good 1v1 saves versus Shaw and Kelly. It was just a bit sad that obviously what happened in the second half pretty much ended the game as a contest. But Man United won their previous one. They won it late last season. They won it at the NSV. And it just shows the difference between playing at the ground you're used to and playing at the bigger stadium, at the bigger occasion. Did it get to the players? I don't know. Did it get to Skinner? I don't know. They were so disappointing for a team that we see as being a challenger for Chelsea and us in the shake-up. And considering Man City's form, losing to us, losing at home to Brighton, I really thought Man United might have offered more, and they just didn't. Really, really strange.
So we should really go on to our game.
What everyone really wants to hear about, our Arsenal game, which is all positive vibes.
But just quickly before I forget as well, because the international teams have been announced. So we've got Victoria Pelova and Viv Miedema both on international duty with the Netherlands. We have been told now that Beth Mead is officially back in the squad, which is great. And also Alessia Russo and Lotta Vuben-Moy is also on the England sheet as well, which is great to see. How excited are you now that we've got a Scotland game and a Netherlands game, and we've got Beth Mead to potentially play both?
I'm thrilled because he might win them. I'm hopefully going to the Netherlands game, Wembley. Can't wait for that. And Beth Mead will hopefully get in. Where we should start, I don't know, but it will be good to have her on the pitch at least to give her a chance, because she was could probably argue she was Serena's sort of weapon of choice, pressing and pacing. She offered on the wing, devastating in attack. We saw that in the Euros. I think that her absence, should I say, has been keenly felt with her injury. When you look at the way that we've had to try and cater for her absence, changing formations, using different wingers. Not saying the players have been bad. I think Kelly and Hemp have been brilliant for England. I think they're superb. But then Beth Mead. I think her absence has been felt a lot. So I'm looking forward to seeing a lineup for the Lionesses once again. So fingers crossed. And good to see Russo and Lotta in the team. Haven't seen Lotta play so much for England. We've been a bit shaky defensively. in the previous two internationals. I'd like to see Lottie maybe have a crack at it. I think she deserves it. I think she's been brilliant this season. We talked about last season how she had to sort of step up with the injuries, continual injuries in central defence. I think she's done that again this season. She's becoming a real commanding presence at the back. So well done for her. And Russo, we know that Serin's a big fan of her. So hopefully she can get a goal against the Netherlands. And as you were saying with the Netherlands team as well, we should add great to see Miedema back on international duty. And Panova, I think she plays a slightly different role with the international team. She plays as a wing back, not in the centre of the park as we're sort of seeing her with Arsenal. But certainly the work she's doing in the midfield, she definitely deserves a call up. Maybe the manager might be tempted to put her in her preferred position. We'll wait and see.
I think that will be determined on whether or not Jill Roord or Spitzer, as well as Van de Donk.
They are blessed of options in that position, the Netherlands. Plenty of tools to pick from. So we'll see which ones they go for.
To our Dutch fans, I do apologise if I have mispronounced some of those players.
Don't worry, they will let us know.
Yes, they will, and they will be. But we'll head back to Sunday, 1 o'clock kickoff, away to Crawley once again 3 times this year.
2 o'clock kickoff.
2 o'clock, sorry. Yeah, if the Sky coverage started at 1. That's my bad.
Nice and early.
But yes, 3 times this time we've been to Crawley this year, and that's one time it was called off, the other time it was the replay, and then this time no call off or anything this time.
Yep.
Similar conditions though, quite cold in Crawley, but the Arsenal packed a stadium. 4,900 was the attendance. That is now an attendance high for Brighton, which is fantastic. We've been talking about attendances and how that's been growing, how it's been developing, how Arsenal have been able to get. I think we have to thank Brian, who has done previous work with the Supporters Club. He's been fantastic, and he's been able to let people know. Oh, by the way, the attendances. Every time we're away, it's been a attendance high, and that's just fantastic to see.
It's brilliant. And I was talking earlier about these attendances at the huge stadium, the biggest stadium, what we would say the men's stadiums. Equally important is when these games aren't there, when they're not in the big palaces, the big entities, or the big stadiums. They're in the smaller grounds. When they hadn't been put in the main venues, and it's important we fill those up, whether it be Meadow Park, Kings Meadow, LSV, Walton Hall, obviously for Everton, and in this case, I think it's the Broadfield. I believe is what the stadium's called for Price. Yeah, Broadfield Stadium. Getting fans to go to those stadiums rather than maybe the stadiums they prefer, because there's a thought you could think, well, I only want to go, and I'll say this because this was my viewpoint, and this is why you can argue I'm a hypocrite here. This is what my viewpoint used to be. That I was like, I don't want to go to watch the Arsenal women at Meadow Park. I want to watch them at Emirates Stadium because that's where I see the Arsenal play. It is important to go to these stadiums, and it is worth it because they're amazing stadiums. Meadow Park is an amazing ground, and Broadfield as well sounded fantastic on TV. The smaller ground, tighter ground, but it looked fantastic, and the support sounded fantastic. So it's great to see that they're getting huge attendances at these stadiums as well. And as long as they're still playing at these stadiums, hopefully that continues until we sell them out, as Meadow Park is at the moment. Every game is a sellout until it becomes logistically impossible to stay there. That's when you've won effectively. So good news for Brighton, big sellout crowd, and they deserve it, Brighton, because they've always supported the women's team, and this season they've looked good. The previous home game against Man United, brilliant game of football. Brighton played very well, pushed Man United all the way. We're a bit unlucky not to win it, but they gave them a really good tussle. And as we mentioned in our earlier episodes, they beat Man City away. We haven't done that since 2017. We should just put that. That's how impressive that is. That's their first ever win over Brighton. So yeah, very good for Brighton. Great to see they're growing. Great to see they're sort of growing with the game, and long may it continue.
So we'll just quickly go through the starting 11. I do apologise if this isn't in order because the Arsenal graphics team decide to move everyone around by player number, not by player name. So we have Manu in goal.
Yep.
I'm going to try and do it as positionally as possible. Casey McCabe as the left back, Noel Moritz as the right back, Lotte Wubben-Moy and Amanda Illerstedt as the centre backs, Victoria Pelova and Kyra Cooney-Cross, and I think it was Alessia Russo as the midfield three. Alessia Russo becoming that attacking midfielder. That left Stina as the striker, Caitlin Ford on the left, and coming back in was Beth Mead on the right hand side.
Yes, I think you got that right, Matt. Full marks. That's what I've got. Top work.
Just on the bench, not Lydia Williams. Williams is currently a youth academy not graduate because she's still in the youth academy.
Yeah,
she was the
goalkeeper.
Youth keeper. Thank you, putting it in there. Steph Catley, Frida Longhardsen-Mornham, Leah Velty, Lena Hertig, Catherine Cool, Chloe Lacasse, and Leah Cordina also on the bench. What did you think about that option then? Just the way it was all set out.
Interesting. We should say there were still some key absences. Kim Little didn't make the squad at all. No Yen Beatty. No Sabrine D'Angelo. I think that's a personal issue. He wasn't really pushing that one because I thought Sabrina might have started this one. But obviously Zinsberger did. My feeling is that we were leaving a lot of our options on the pitch, and what I meant by that is that when we would play the previous games, we'd have a strong team and then we'd have strong options that we can do, like to do hot swaps. The obvious one being Russo and Stina. We'd take one off, we could put one on, or we can add Stina on as an extra to sort of push further forward. You know, if we need to up the ante. The fact that we were starting with our two main strikers made me feel like, well, what we haven't got, what have we got to increase on top of that? It was almost if we're going to try and start at our limit, and if that didn't work, we're going to be in trouble because we've got nothing else to bring on. That was just sort of my feeling on it. Other than that, great to see Marit start right back, and McCabe moved over to the left. I think Kat was on the bench for this one. I think there's a few players carrying over some knocks from the Leicester game. Again, great option of having depth. We don't have to risk them. We can just say no. We can play a different players in. We can play McCabe back at left back, Maritz at right back. We don't need to use Catley, from full 90 minutes. We don't have to worry about that. Cooney-Cross and Pelova starting again, well deserved. They play brilliantly. They're growing. Obviously, they're a bit raw. They're not like Kim Little and Leah Velty, who obviously are experienced and know they can play with each other blindfolded. Know that position well. They are a growing duo in the heart of the midfield, but they are good, and they're getting very, 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 very good. So I'm glad to see that Jonas is keeping that partnership going. Velty was on the bench in this instance, and the big news obviously was Mead starting a year to the day that she tore her ACL. I mean that was brilliant to see. Brilliant to see Mead get her first WSL start, and that would have meant a lot. Didn't play the full 90 minutes, which I fully understand. I wouldn't have expected to. Just the 64 minutes before Lacasse came on. Lacasse has been brilliant in her absence. So, yeah, that made absolute sense. But really proud, really glad to see Mead back on the right. And then the interesting thing was obviously BBC and Sky got it slightly wrong. They thought we were playing 4-4-2. No, not quite. Russo is 10. Stina as a striker. It's something that a lot of people are sort of called for. Stina is obviously a more out and out forward. Russo likes to come deep for the ball. We've seen that a lot. It was interesting to see how that dynamic would work. But yeah, it was a lineup of, like I said, of intrigue. Lots of stuff I was happy with. Lots of stuff I was curious to see how it would play out. But nothing I was overly sort of worried about.
I do wonder though if a game like this, let's say Beth is at 100% fit and she was able to run up and down for 90 minutes, I would have a feeling that is kind of why we brought Chloe in, because she can play up front as well. She doesn't have to be restricted on the right or the left hand side, as well as Lena Hertig.
I would argue even if Embiid was fully fit, we don't need to play her for 90 minutes. Even if she could play for 90 minutes, we don't want. You don't. I always think with these four, especially the ones that are getting a lot of rain down the wings, I don't want to see them playing 90 minutes every game because you are going to burn out. The fact that we can say, right, yeah, we're winning the game, feeling like whatever, Mead, right, we can take you off, we can put Lacasse on. We don't feel a significant drop in quality in player. Lacasse come in and she's really good. I mean, I'll still put Mead slightly ahead of her, but that's because Mead's been in the team longer. She's more experienced in that position. Lacasse is still coming in. But Lacasse has been so good since she has come in that I'm not worried about the idea of, we can't pick Mead because maybe she's got a knock that maybe I was last season. That's again, I talk about the fact we've got depth now. We can afford not to play Leah Velty and Kim Little as a midfield partnership. How mad is that? Like last season, I'd lose my mind if you had Kim Little's out for, let's say, 3 weeks, and so's Leah Velty. We panic. Oh no, we've got Pullover and Cooney across there, and they're absolutely fine. And it's like, yeah, it's fine. There's no drama. So
I'm glad that they're doing it now and not like all the partnerships are coming together now, because there would have been nothing worse than going into that Tottenham and Chelsea game and
it's proactivity versus reactivity. We're not having to react to like Jonas having to go for a back three. We're not having to frantically change things at the last minute because we've got injuries. Like no, because we've already established the connections. So that should, God forbid, something happen, it's fine. We've got a contingency in. We can play these players in position because we've been doing it over the season. They're comfortable playing that position, and we just keep moving on, and that's really good to see.
I'll just ask you quickly then about the striker situation. Let's say Steen and let's say Alessia is playing the midfield role, and say Stina picks up an injury. What would your go-to striker would be? Would it be straightforward? Be Alessia?
Yeah,
and then bring someone like it would have to be Frida that comes on. It wouldn't
Frida or Miedemar if she's fit. Miedemar, we know that Jonas likes to play her in a 10 role, which she's quite happy with. Again, it's options. We could play Kim Little in 10. We can play Pullover at 10. We could play Frida at 10. Or if Jonas wants to mix it up, we play Miedemar striker and we play Russo at 10. It's not like we got options coming out of our ears. It's not like right, okay, it's always like one A to B, A to B, A to B. It's like okay, we lose Steven to an injury. Okay, that's fine. We've got options, and options that we know that can work. We can maybe play Lacasse as a striker. We can play Russo as a striker. We can play Viv as a striker. We could probably try Beth as a striker. She's played there before, used to in her Sunderland days. So yeah, no, it's I think that there's a flexibility there that players can play multiple positions across the attack and be comfortable, and that is a really good position to be in. When I think of the men's team, I think of certain players that will only play in one position in the attack and can't play anywhere else. That's not good. But there's a really good versatility to the forward line, which makes it a very, very exciting prospect. Because not only with injuries, but we can tailor it to the opposition. If you think that this is a game for Russo as a striker, we can do that. If this is a game for Russo as a 10, we can do that. It's great. That's a positive. It has to be.
So for you then, Jonas has like A, B, C as the plans, which is great.
I think we've got A to Z. It's like a Swiss Army. We've got Swiss Army knife of options. That's the thing. It's not like it used to go, Arsenal never had, like the men's team, they always say, Arsenal don't have a plan B. I'd argue with the women's team, we've got D, E, F. Just this list goes on. Just there's so many options and permutations. Whilst everybody is fit, obviously injuries do limit your options. But yeah, so far Jonas has got maybe too much choice, and maybe the difficulty here is going to be making the right choice. Because just because you've got so many options, not all of them are going to be correct. But that's the challenge for Jonas now, is when we come up against Chelsea, he looks that side and goes, right, who is the right person in the right position that's going to get me that win against Chelsea? Same with Spurs, same with West Ham. Because some managers sometimes like to show off and go, I'm going to go for a back three or with maybe inverted wingers, because it's going to be a really clever, smart thing to do, and they get caught out. So it's up to Jonas to utilise his resources, as plentiful as they are, correctly. And so far, It looks like he's doing it.
So we should really get into the action here.
Yes, go for it. Yeah, let's do
So
it.
11 minutes on the clock. We have the first goal. Katie putting in the cross. It's deflected by Cabral, who just essentially just tries to clear it, and it falls straight to Stina, who brings it lovely down. She spins around, doesn't touch it, but it falls to defenders, which I think it makes it even more funny because everyone's expecting the ball either to be in the back of the net or Bagley to have saved it, but no, she spun around, she's missed it, and then she's gone, right, okay, I'm going to hit this as hard as I can, and she hits it so well, straight over the top of Bagley and into the back of the net. It was a fantastic finish, and I think I'm going to be honest here, I think this is going to end up winning goal of the month, and just by accident, because of how funny it would be if it goes to the Arsenal goal of the month thing. I think Stina's got that in the bag.
Maybe. It was an interesting moment. I was always worried with the Brighton game was if they came at us, I'd feel comfortable, but it was pretty clear they'd gone. I think it was 5-4-1. They'd gone low block. Understandable because they know the firepower we have, and having seen us knock 6 goals past Leicester in one half of football, you can understand them maybe being a bit more cautious. So it was really good to get the goal nice and early, to get that foothold in the game. Good bit of play from McCabe, good cross in, poor defending. I mean, for the first 20 minutes, I was really disappointed with the Brighton defence, considering how well they played at Man City. I thought it was going to be really difficult, but there were quite a few mistakes, not just for that goal, but there were other moments. There was a moment, I think, we were pressing high and they just kept coughing up possession in really like lax ways, really sort of basic ways. Really disappointed. We were just lucky they had the numbers to counter when we were trying to get something from the turnover. But this is a clearance. It's a lazy clearance. It's straight at Stina, and this shows the advantage of Stina. Stina is a presence in the box. If we'd gone Russo up top, I don't know if she'd be in that same position. We might have been trying to work the move in deep rather than being the forward. But Stina was there, and yes, she missed the first effort, which sort of had us sort of like, oh no, what a great moment that was. And I think she actually makes it harder for herself because then she has to dig the shot out because she hasn't, as much as Arsenal fans are joking, she hasn't like spun round and carried her momentum around into the shot. She spun round and now she's got no momentum with the ball and has almost like a golf club, like the bunker, get the ball out from under her feet and airborne. She's got that into the top corner. Brilliant finish in that regard. But again, with the Brighton defence, she's given them an entire 360 and they still haven't closed her down. Nobody has clicked and switched onto the danger. They're all just standing and watching a spin and then take the shot. So really, really, really bad defending from Brighton there, which was a shame because, again, they set such high standards getting a clean sheet at Man City. So at that point, I thought, okay, good. Early goal from Stina, which was great to see. Stina scored obviously 2 very early goals in the previous game, which finished 4-0. I thought, okay, this is good. Early goal, let's get the next one and the next one. And that didn't happen. It was and I just felt that if we didn't knuckle down and get that second goal while we sort of had them, Brighton had the quality to get back into it. And it sort of felt like it swung back that way. And it became, I would say up until half time, I think they had maybe one effort which came from a mistake by us, we should say. It was a misjudgment effort, which threatened, but Manu was equal to it. And there was a corner that maybe had and scrambled ahead of behind, but we only had one shot on target in that half, which was the Stina goal. There was a lot of moments, a lot of possession, a lot of territory, but we just sort of, I think there was a moment where we think we might have even ran into each other at one point. But we sort of didn't have the players in the right position. We weren't getting the passes, was too slow. It felt very first half against Leicester. A lot of passing to people rather than to space. A lot of safe passes, a lot of trying to save the possession. Not enough players making the runs, not enough space to work with. And that sort of ran to half time. So whilst I was happy with the lead and the fact that we were able to sort of cater for Brighton, we contained them rather well. I think we only had 2 efforts on target of their own. Hadn't really imposed ourselves after the goal, which was the big disappointment for me.
So just quickly run through that first half. Beth Mead was brought down again by I say again because it's Carabali that's actually
It
brought her
wasn't a
down.
penalty. Let's say that wasn't a penalty. As much as Beth may plead, it was coming together in the box. I wasn't expecting a spot kick.
For me, it was a penalty because she's clipped her. It doesn't matter
Okay,
if
all right. For me, I
it
felt
doesn't
Beth ran
matter.
into her.
She's clipped her and she hasn't even won the ball. Therefore, for me, penalty. You feel it's different? Okay, we'll pass it on that one. As you mentioned, Brighton's first attempts, long ball over the top, and Turlin goes straight on through. Bit of a push and shove on Lotta.
Lotta misjudged it. There's her and Amanda, obviously the back two. I actually thought Amanda had a really good game. Her and Lotta. This was a rare blip. You always have blips. But yeah, Lotta makes. I think it's Lotta. Misjudgment from Lotta there. She gets run past too easily. Luckily for Arsenal, it's on the angle. It's not straight at the keeper. She says she's only really one place she can strike it, and Manu's got her wits about her to make the save, and then we're able to mop up and clear. Thankfully, the retreating defence gets there in time.
If a certain Spanish goalkeeper is watching, that's how you defend the front post. I do apologise if that's brought back some trauma. But yes, Manu being in the right place at the right.
Sorry, Matt. That's what I'm thinking of. That's a very dated reference. If you're talking you're not talking 2006, are you?
I am.
All right, okay. That's a very dated men's football reference, but fair play to you.
But just to put that into perspective, Manu was at the front post, making sure that Tulland had no opportunity to squeeze that ball past, and she made a fantastic save. She had to gather it.
It was a different Manu back in 2006, wasn't it? It was a very
she had to gather the ball at the second attempt, but there was no one around her, so she had plenty of time to make sure that she had time and everything, which was fantastic. Then the 47th minute, Manu saves from an Ulm header, which was a corner, which you talked about.
Yeah.
It
wasn't a clean save.
It wasn't, but it's just one of those where the smallest touches makes the biggest difference. Yeah. And she won't have been happy about how she handled it, but she'll be glad that it went away.
Yeah.
And that was really the end of Brighton's sort of dominance towards the end of that half.
They finished stronger towards the end of the half. It did feel like it was a wrestling match. They sort of worked their way back into the contest, although they didn't really have much to show for it. Like it was one or two efforts, but nothing. We weren't sliced open or anything, which was a relief.
And Brighton's dominance came further up on the 52nd minute. Again, another corner. Bergs fans heading over the bar.
Yeah.
I don't know what minute this was on, but then you've got Beth Mead's shot over the bar.
So there was a Beth Mead counter. There was a counter attack.
It was lovely build up and everything.
So
and
lots of
the
ball. Yeah, so it was. I got the time actually. If you are doing timestamps, it was just before about 63 minutes. It was lots of things ball down the channel, and I think this was just after. You may have made a note. There's a bit when Russo makes a really good tackle in the box.
I would love to talk about that. We'll talk about that next.
Yeah, and I think it was after that tackle, but we all come on to that. Lots of pings the ball into the channel, and it was sort of the first time we actually got space behind Brighton. Brighton overcommitted. We had space on the counter. Steiner takes it. It's a low cross. Mead's running onto it. There's space everywhere. She just has to pick her spot, and she goes a bit for power. She's aiming for that top corner. It would have been a brilliant moment for Mead. Goal on her return. Sadly, it just misses the crossbar. Not by much, but it just misses. And after that, I think that was our last action. She came off, and Lacasse and Catley came on for Mead and McCabe to give us a different option on the wings. We said it many times. The Catley forward axis is very strong, so we've got that now in play. Lacasse has been spending a lot of time on that right wing this season, so he's very comfortable there. And I thought it was a very clever sub from Jonas, because I think at that moment in the game, you could sense that Arsenal were now just starting to figure out the Brighton defence properly. The first goal we scored was off a defensive mistake. We've done a bit of decent football, but primarily the goal was from a mistake. We were starting to create the opportunities. We were starting to get the spaces that we needed, the spaces that we had at Leicester. It just took us 60 minutes to find them. And this was an element, right, okay, we're on the up now. I'm going to double down. And this is what I was sort of saying about leaving some options on the bench, having Kathleen Lacasse on the bench, those were the options. This is when we could double down. And I thought it was and I thought after that, I thought our attack grew and grew into the game. I don't think any coincidence that I felt that after those subs came on, it felt like we had the momentum. I don't recall really Brighton having much of a threat after that.
So we'll just quickly talk about the Alessia slide tackle. I absolutely love this. This shows how good she is. It's that you automatically think of her as a striker, but you don't think of her if she's doing the midfield job. She absolutely nails the slide tackle to be able to take it away from. I don't remember the attacker, but it was fantastic slide tackle.
It was probably the only moment in that second half I think Brighton looked like they might get an equaliser. I think we'd actually made a mistake in the centre of the park. I think we choked possession. Brighton were making it very uncomfortable for us, which I expected after watching them against Man United. It wasn't as intense as Man United, but it was certainly that uncomfortableness, and they got the turnover, quickly got the pass in the box, and I was comfortable that because it was a tightish angle that Marnie could make the save, but if the striker drills that low towards the far post, we're in trouble. And there's always a joke about strikers can't tackle. We always talk about, when it's a really bad foul out, strikers tackle, and you're always a bit worried that a forward making a desperate lunge in the box. It's a brilliant tackle from Russo. Absolutely perfect. Single leg, gets the ball out for a corner, out to safety. She's run back, she's seen the options, and she's everywhere on the pitch. And that's one of the reasons Jonas loves playing Russo. So yeah, clearly if there's a centre back shortage, maybe we should be looking to move Russo to the heart of our defence if she's able to do defensive duties like that.
I just love it. Almost, I know Leah wouldn't have done that, but it almost felt like a Leah Williamson sort of move.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
It was brilliant. And 72 minutes on the clock. Plover's cross. It narrowly misses Alessia Russo, but she manages to get a little bit of a toe on it, and it just drifts a little bit wide.
Yeah, Gaza 96, isn't it? It's the old low cross slide. I don't believe it. I could just feel that we were building that momentum. That that was probably the first since the Mead effort, but it felt like that was the first time we got a proper. That's how we want to play. Get Palova, brilliant industry in the midfield. The energy that she has, I'm starting to think of like a Duracell bunny. She knows to run on the pitch, and so drive into the box, and suddenly there's space in the box, and that's what you want, and it's the speed to get through the defence. Space in the box, the low cross. The only thing you can maybe say is that the cross, either Russo needs to be alert quicker, be in position, or that cross is just a bit too close to the goalkeeper. She could have cut that ball slightly back towards Russo coming onto it. It's a goal. Russo hurls herself at it. She does get a toe at it, but the cross is so powerful. It's just it's a matter of timing. Unfortunately, it's slightly off, and it would have been an open goal tap. It would have been a great moment, great Russo goal. Would have been 2-0. And you do worry when you miss those big chances. If Brighton get a late goal, I could not see us hanging on especially with our clean sheet record up until today. I think I don't want to be sitting on a 1-0 lead. I don't want to be sitting on a 1-0 lead going into the last 10 minutes, last 5 minutes, seeing that clock and thinking, come on, we need to hang on here. But it was a great bit of play and great point thinking, okay, we can, the chances are there for us. We just need to be a bit cute in the final third, bit of patience, and we'll be all right. I think eventually we were all right.
Yeah, it was a bit of a shame that Alessia really did deserve something from that opportunity, but we pile on. 8 minutes later, 80th minute, Victoria. So let's try this again. 80th minute, Caitlin Ford picks up a loose ball and she just drives and drives and drives, gets towards the edge of the box, and she just unleashes almost a rocket, because it doesn't exactly go straight in. It bounces off the surface and goes past Bagley, but it was a fantastic goal. And
it was interestingly, Cooney Cross, who was superb in the game, she won player of the match. superb in
I've
that
got
midfield.
stats on that as well. So
Good. We'll
go
come back
on.
to that. But she had just been subbed off for Leah Velti for the last 10 minutes. And pretty much after that break, I'm not saying that Leah Velti is the reason we got the second goal, but mere seconds after that breaking play, it's another defensive mistake. As much as like we were playing better, the second goal comes from a defensive mistake. I think it's down to fatigue. I think it's a fatigue of thought. It's 10 minutes to go. You're still 1-0 down. Arsenal are all over you. You're smothering them, they're dominating them, and it's just a moment of just a loose pass in the midfield, and it's straight to Ford. And fair play to Ford. It's very quick. It's get the ball out the feet, line it up, look at the goal. Defence has obviously been caught flat by the turnover, and just go, right, I'm going to have a crack for 25 yards. It's a brilliant strike. Arrowed, bottom corner. We've seen Ford do that before, and that's it. Game over. That's it. 2-0. That's exactly the goal we needed. The insurance mode locked in. Really happy for Ford. That's a second goal on the trot after a brilliant finish at Leicester. And it was just sort of the moment where you could just sort of breathe and go, right, okay, we're there now. We've got our insurance. If Brighton really want a result, they're going to come with us more, and that's going to lead to more space. We've got our likes of Lacasse giving us pace. Frida as well. We should have got to mention Frida came on Festina in that first round of subs with Catley and Lacasse. So we've got Frida as well as a 10, with Russo now as a forward striker, main striker. So we've got fresh options in attack now that we can exploit. Brighton think we need to try and get another goal back. So it was a breath of relief, sigh of relief that we got that second goal, and it was a brilliant finish from Ford. Absolutely superb.
And just on Kyra Cooney-Cross, because she got player of the match, 43 of 49 passes completed, 4 out of 5 successful dribbles, 2 tackles, 1 out of 2, 9 recoveries, 8 duels, 1, 2 fouls, 1, no fouls conceded. It was a fantastic performance, and we know Lottie would be absolutely not appalled, pleased with that performance. And just before we go into,
I did want to say that. Do you see the touch map?
Go on.
Do you see the Kyra Cooney-Cross touch map?
I haven't, no.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's literally like the entire pitch is covered in dots, apart from like the 6-yard boxes. But she was everywhere. It was just incredible. She was, there were dribbles into the 6-yard box, in the main box, darting runs in the box. There were a lot of things, actually. There were a lot of, from like Mead, Ford, Kyra as well. A lot of attempted player take-ons. And it was just, if they could have got past that last defender they were in, did feel at times with the team, they were taking on with one too many. And it was just, you've got to be a bit cuter than just trying to, if you beat 4 defenders and get in the box, well done you. Be a bit clever with the passing. I was going to say there was a moment, I think, in the second half, I think it was McCabe was giving Ford an overlap on the left, well before Ford got the goal. And when we started doing that, rather than major dribbles in the box, and we were using that to get the crosses in, that's the moment where I felt it was really starting to click. And of course, we're going to get to the third goal. That's exactly where it comes from. But yeah, Kyra Cooney-Cross. I said it before that game. I hadn't seen her play much of the World Cup because I other commitments. So this is the first time us really seeing that we have signed such a player. Brilliant charm, brilliant passing, brilliant midfield presence, and a brilliant award as well. Another player of the match award. So, I mean, look at the likes of Kim Little and Velti. You think they come back soon, but if Kyra Cooney-Cross keeps playing this form, Velti was on the bench until the last 10 minutes. We didn't have to break glass and bring her on because Kyra was doing absolutely fine. So, very exciting prospect.
Yeah, I think this is what we're enjoying, that we're getting to see more of her instead of 20-minute spells like the game against Liverpool. She, no offense to her, she wasn't really doing much, and I think the game didn't allow her to do that much. Whereas in this game,
there are other managers in the WSL who would just start Velti and just bring Kyra on for the last 10 minutes and wouldn't gamble on starting her and resting. He would normally be your first choice player. Won't say who they are, but you could probably imagine who they are. I think it shows really good faith by Jonas to saying, no, I'm not gonna throw. It would have been easier for Jonas to go, right, Velti's back, right, Velti, you're starting, and then bring Cooney-Cross out. No, Cooney-Cross, you're doing great. I'm going to stick by you. Velti, you'll be on the bench. When I think Cooney-Cross is running legs into the ground, then I'll bring you on. The fact you can bring a player of Velti's quality off the bench to to bring on from the midfield. I mean, that's amazing. So that shows how good Kai Koulibaly has been.
Well, just before we go into the third goal, there's a reason why I'm bringing this up. Chloe the Cass has the third most assists per 90 than some of the players. Just to put this into perspective, Maisie Simmons, the Brighton player, is top.
Yep.
Joanna Connery is second. Mia Enderby is fourth, and Jessica Naz is fifth. Chloe Cass has 0.73 out of per 90. So just put it in perspective, she's essentially putting in an assist every other game, and
she
only
was 6 games in now, are we?
Yeah.
5, 7 games in. I've lost track now.
And she
7 games.
From this, the reason why I'm bringing it up, Russo crosses. It's very, very easy to do. A striker just right, I'm going to hit this and it's going to go in. But she selfishly just has a quick look over her shoulder. Unselfishly, apologies. Let's try that again. Russo puts in the cross, and the cast looks over her shoulder, unselfishly sees that Friedel and Morning is rushing in as quickly as she can, and she goes, you know what, I'm just going to play this back to you, and you can have a running shot at this, and you can go and score the goal. It's going to give you a little bit more confidence and build you up a little bit more. And Frieda didn't disappoint. She's absolutely smashes it past Sophia Bagley in the Brighton goal, and it was just a great end to a game that Arsenal dominated, don't you think?
I would say controlled, maybe dominated, but I would say they definitely kept. Yeah, well, we weren't exactly pummeling them, but certainly I felt we had enough control of the midfield, and it was just maybe just sort of just twisting until eventually Brighton snapped, and then we got the space, and then we were able to really play our football. The third goal, from a team perspective, is superb. A bit of I think it comes from a throw in our own half. Russo rolls the defender, sprint down the left, and it's that low cross. We saw it at Leicester from the opposite flank, actually, for the way she got that whipped cross in straight onto Ford's foot, and she beat it over the keeper for I think it was 3-2 at that point. Here she's on the left flank, so it's the opposite foot. A low cross. The Brighton defence is shot to pieces. The space that Lacasse has is insane, but the way she curves the cross, she actually gets it. I don't know how she's done it, but she gets it around the first defender, but then behind the defense. She actually there's 2 defenders, and they're both moving, and she's able to whip it around the first one, but then behind the second. It's a brilliant delivery from the left. And you're right, Lacasse, she could easily go, right, I'm going to stroke this in for 3-0. No, she taps it back, and it's such a free goal. It's that burst of energy to the box, meets it first time, and just strokes it into that bottom corner, past the keeper, and it's the icing on the cake. It's Frieda's first time it's her goal of the season. Thank goodness, because I think we can all say she hasn't been. She hasn't had a strong start to the season. She was on the bench of this game, came off the bench. I thought she was going to come off the bench to replace Russo. Instead, he brought her on for Stina and moved Russo to the striker. What was interesting, because I've always felt that Frieda and Stina work better as a 10-9 partnership. But it worked well here. Really clever. That's all I'd say about it. It's a very clever touch from the cast. It's game intelligence, seeing who is the player in the better position. Frieda was much better placed to take that shot than she is from the angle. And it just rounds off, and I'm smiling now thinking about it. But it was a beautiful moment. The away fans loved it. I should say shout out to away fans. Amazing sound throughout the game. Really, I mean, Brighton were great. Brighton fans were great, but you could really hear the Arsenal fans singing the songs, and there's some absolute crackers. Do check out the song, but there's some amazing songs to learn. That was I think that was 90. What was it? 93, 94 minutes? Was it 95
minutes.
And at that point, that's it. I can enjoy the final few seconds, because we've completely taken over the game for Brighton. Points from the bag. I will just say there was time for one more goal. Could have been, because Arsenal scored from their only 3 shots on target, which is at a level of efficiency that we could only dream of compared to early in the season, where we couldn't seem to score any of them. But Sophie Bagley, being the sportsball that she is, made a really good save from the cast. Lacasse almost got her goal, and it would have been a great goal. I think it was Russo tapped the ball through. Lacasse took a shot, really good save from Sophie Bagley to tip it over, and that was the last kick of the game. Finished 3-0, first clean sheet of the season, and that has to be applauded. In the WSL, I should say, obviously we got one in Europe, but first WSL clean sheet. Thank goodness. First WSL clean sheet since the last time we went to Brighton, so obviously it's a bit of a good luck charm, that stadium. And I felt that reflected a really good team performance. It wasn't perfect, but it was a strong team performance. A few more wrinkles to iron out, but yeah, very happy overall.
So that is it from us on Vic Akers Wonderland. Adam, where can people find you?
You can find me at Adam Salter 4 on Twitter, or X as it is now known.
And you can find me at MattLR28, or you can also find all of us on the VAW pod, and that is on Twitter. And that is all from us. We've